Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to Leverage TV, where making business relative is our objective. I'm your host Jamil. Today we will be continuing our conversation on the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Our topic for today will be about being a persuasive messenger. We're going to have an opportunity to break that down. We have a special guest. Uh, Let me tell you guys, this entrepreneur is going to rock your world on this topic. I have known her for over 7 years now. And doesn't time fly? It definitely flies by. And while I can get deeper into how we came in contact, let me just get to the introduction. Our guest for this episode is a reigning native of the one and only Garden State. And the reason why I say the one and only Garden State, because I am from New Jersey, even though I currently reside in the Atlanta. Um, she received her formal education at Kane University, where she studied psychology and marketing, right? Her voice has echoed and continues to echo throughout sound systems across this country, right? She has mounted on several different platforms: the Brave Life Experience, Six Figure Shift Conference, the beginning, the New Beginning Brunch. She has also spoken in churches. Also, um, she's also done workshops in college for college seminars and more. With her energetic and charismatic style of speaking as a coach, this young powerhouse is the best-selling author of "Don't Muzzle Your Message." Right? She is the owner of Provisement LLC, a brand, a brand, a brand communication firm. I do apologize. She has developed life-changing curriculum through her business. She specializes in helping entrepreneurs and others amplify their voice to boost their visibility, grow their grow their tribe, and enroll clients on repeat. Most important, she is the boss mom of young Caden. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Ciara Shanae.
Hey!
How are you, Ciara?
Aw,
How are you? Welcome to Leverage
I'm
TV.
doing good. I'm so glad to be here. I'm honored.
I am honored to have you here. Let's get this. So
Wow.
so why did you become a brand? Why did you choose to become a brand strategist?
Ooh, I honestly did not decide to be a brand strategist. I remember I went to a networking event here in New Jersey, and so I was telling them what I was doing. I was like, I'm a coach. I forget what kind of coach I was at that point. And she said, well, you must know so and so. I said, I must know. And they were like, yeah, you must know her. She's from New Jersey. She's also a coach. She's doing her thing. So I quickly looked up that person's name and fell in love with her content. And she was a brand strategist. So
Oh wow.
honestly, my first encounter, my first experience, got it strategic, set it all up. I was exposed to brand strategy at that point. And for a long time, I never thought that it was inside of me. I thought I just admired it in her and
Mm.
appreciated the work she was doing. But it was back in 2020. I do remember sitting on Siobhan's couch, stairs. I sat on Siobhan's stairs and I began to share on Instagram about the internal war that I was having on the inside of me because I didn't want to seem like I was trying to copy off of everybody else. So I think I had avoided it just for the sake of uniqueness and not trying to seem like everyone else. But If it, like I was saying to someone the other day, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck,
It's a
sis,
dog.
it's a duck. So there is definitely brand strategy and a love for brands in there,
Mhm.
specifically with speakers. So yeah, and entrepreneurs with service-based business.
Okay. So, um, I guess what does a brand strategist role actually encompass? Like how, like so you go from uh sitting on the steps to becoming a brand strategist after having an encounter with somebody that actually does the work. So, what does his role actually look like?
Well, that's a great question, Jamil. A lot of brand strategists have different niches and specializations. So mine in particular, that I also was been fighting it for years, is brand visibility. And so what I can speak to is definitely that. Some other brand strategists may specialize in messaging. Some others might specialize in just the foundations of the brand. So it really depends. But for me, it's brand visibility. And so after you have the foundation of the brand laid, it's about getting your brand visible and in front of your ideal audience. And then after you're able to do that, you're able to be visible in front of new audiences. You can then grow your tribe, grow your list, and then ultimately nurture them to become your clients. And so for me, it's about getting in front of new audiences because
Mhm.
sometimes we think it's a client issue, we think it's a profit issue, when really it's a people issue, right?
Right.
We're not in front of enough people and we're not strategically placing ourselves in the right places to be seen by by the right people. So
And so, with that being said, right, visibility, what does it mean to become visible?
right.
I mean, like, how do you make your clients become visible?
Right. So there's a whole plan, right? Because a lot of us, they're like, oh, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. But typically, when we show up based on what we see other people doing and
Mm,
not having our own strategy. So you can actually exhaust yourself by showing up, but not showing up what I like to call giving your brand visibility plan SaaS, right? So it should be strategic, it should be authentic, and it should be systematic. And so authentic is the part I want to like really hone in on, making
okay.
sure that it's what fits for you. Not just like, oh, they
Mm.
say I should be on live stream, so I'm on live stream. They say I should be, doing YouTube interviews, so I'm doing YouTube interviews. And so you're just doing what you see others doing, but not necessarily having a plan that fits and suits you and your brand.
So, what we're talking about is being able to have the ability to become unique in your messaging.
Yeah, you want to be unique with the way you show up and not just copy and hope to get the same results because you see it working for someone else.
Mm. So, not only are you're helping your clients become unique, but you're helping them with the results. And
Yeah,
so I'm a math person. So I kind of see I see it like a mathematical
an
formula.
equation.
Yeah, I see it as an equation, right? Um, and so when I understand my brand and what I have to offer through my own appearance and uniqueness, then I'll be able to market it to my tribe or the people that what we probably say in the church, I'm called to, right? And so, um, yeah, I guess can you go in a bit more about that?
Sure. So visibility, I actually just taught about this in my Voice to Clients Lounge on Facebook. We talked about the difference between brand visibility and basic marketing, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of people they confuse brand visibility and marketing because of the fact that they actually rely on one another. So
Right.
brand visibility, you have to market in order to be visible, but it's not exactly marketing. So it
Mm.
by definition it says, that it's being seen and experienced by your ideal audience through diverse marketing channels. And
Wow.
so when I learned in English, you can't define a word with the word in it, right? So if
Mhm.
brand visibility has marketing in it, that's a huge indicator. that visibility is not necessarily marketing itself. It just requires the marketing channels in order to be visible in front of those audiences. So, for
Okay.
example, this what we're doing right now. YouTube, social media as a whole, is a marketing channel, right?
Mhm.
SEO is a marketing channel, but it's a way that you're able to be visible in front of the audience is by using this marketing channel. And so I definitely wanted to share that because a lot of people, even those that say they specialize in brand visibility, are saying that they're interchangeable too, which was really shocking to me, because I see the overlap and I
Mhm.
understand where the confusion is coming from, but it's not the same. It requires marketing, but it to be visible, but it's not marketing in itself.
So can you dig a bit more in detail about brand visibility?
Sure. So I'm really
This is
enjoying
new.
studying.
This is really good. This is new to me. I'm like, I'm
No,
listening and I'm beginning to see the bigger picture of what you're saying about the differences. But I want you to dive into that bad boy.
so let's go into marketing campaigns. I like to call it strategic speaking campaigns. So
Okay.
anywhere where you are amplifying your voice, because I teach brand visibility by way of your voice. There's
Mhm.
other people that teach visibility in other ways by like search engine optimization, social media. I teach specifically using your voice in diverse ways so that you're visible, right? Amplifying and stretching your voice. So that's what I teach. So I say this to say, so a strategic speaking campaign, aka marketing campaign. It'll have all of the things that you need to do. So, for example, marketing is specifically connected to that audience becoming interested in buying whatever you're offering.
Okay.
Visibility doesn't necessarily market or sell the thing. It's just getting you in front of the audience and and piquing their interest enough that they connect with you and things of that nature. But marketing is focused on this is the product that we're selling, right? And so I need you to get interested. And then once you're interested, I need to tell you why you need to buy. And so
Okay.
I even understand why people confuse and say marketing and selling is are the same. But it's really like a assembly line, right?
Mm.
So I want to be visible in front of the right audience, the relevant audience, because you could be seen by anybody. But if it's not the right audience, you're not going to get the results. I'm very results driven. Jamil could tell you,
Right. You are.
right? And so you want to get in front of the right audience. And then let me backtrack just a little bit too. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. Brand visibility is the rate or the frequency, the amount of times that you are seen and experienced. That's what I forgot to say. So it's really tracking how many times are you seen and experienced by this ideal audience, not just being
Okay.
seen once, but they continue to see you, right? And then marketing is focused on what you're selling, right? What you're marketing or what you're promoting, and then what you ultimately want to sell. So stay with me. Stay
I'm
with
I'm
me.
I'm I'm
You with me?
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Thank you, thank you. I hope y'all with me too. So that's the distinction between the two. But when you have a marketing campaign, because we're again, brand visibility requires for you to use marketing channels, right? So
Mm.
when you have a marketing campaign, you might, for example, say your offer that you're selling is a course, and it's
Right.
it's opening up at the top of the year. So right now we're in the fourth quarter at the time of this recording. And so we're in the fourth quarter. And so you're going to do a whole bunch of activities from now until January when that opens up. So all of the different things, whether you're hosting workshops, free or paid workshops, whether you're hosting live events, whether you have email campaigns, like all of the different, whether you're posting, a reel 3 times a week on Instagram, all of those different things that you do are marketing activities.
Right.
And it's a part of, if it all directs them to the same offer, that's all a part of a marketing campaign,
Right.
right? But if you are making sure that, let's say, for example, you decide, and I teach my clients this, and I love this, one of my favorite visibility ways is, or activities, is If you then become a guest trainer or a guest coach or speaker inside of someone else's program and they're your ideal audience, first of all, they already paid in the program, so they're primed and probably not gonna like blink an eye to invest in you too. But you can definitely do something before them and then get them along this marketing campaign and get them to opt into something that you're offering to get them into your funnel. And I know I'm saying some jargon and
Right.
terminology, but I can't go into funnels today. But get them, let's say, get them on your email list or your waiting list for your program that's happening in January. Now you're visible in front of an ideal audience. So now they're on this list, and this list, let's say, has an email sequence connected to it,
Right.
and the email sequence. So now they're getting emails from you. They also, let's say, because the email in the signature says, follow me on Instagram, they're now following you on Instagram. So when you post that reel, they're seeing that reel that's promoting that workshop, and that workshop is going to promote your offer. That's at the end, that's starting at the top of the year. It's marketing. However, the all of those times and touch points that they saw you
Mm-hmm.
is the visibility part.
Mm.
Marketing, you could be marketing to brand new people all the time, and that doesn't necessarily nurture that audience. It's being able to even keep up with Stacy with the red shirt that was in that group program. You now know that she's on your Instagram. You now know she just watched your new YouTube video. You know she came to your workshop. You know she's opening up all of your emails. So by the time you get on a discovery call with her, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Yes.
She has touched you. She has touched your brand and engaged with your brand enough where most likely she's ready to buy on that call if she qualifies,
Mm-hmm.
and she may be ready to join into that program that's at the top of the year, hypothetically, right? And so that's what visibility is, but it requires all of the different marketing things
Marketing.
in place that connect with one another. It's not just, oh, I just got to show up, so I'm just throwing up a bunch of random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, and it's about being seen consistently and the rate and the frequency of which you're seen by that person. So you
Okay.
should be counting. It's a numbers thing, right? You might like it.
Yeah, I might. Well, I definitely need to get out there more in terms of brand visibility. So, what I'm gathering, what you're saying is this: marketing is the funnels. Marketing is the platforms that you choose to use to get your visibility out there, right?
In a sense, yes.
In a sense, or more so the product, right? Because
Right,
the
right, right.
visibility is what attracts the client or the consumer. Am I right? And it connects them to the product, but it's connected. Am I making sense when I say that?
You are making sense. So visibility, simply put, is getting you in front of that audience.
Audience. There you go.
So that later they could be marketed to and promoted and sold to and all of those things. But if they don't see you, they could forget about you. You could become no longer relevant. They could buy from
Mhm.
somebody else. A lot can happen if they don't continue to see you. Visibility can cause for them to trust you more because it's like, oh,
Right.
she is. Like one of my past clients literally told me this week, and I'll pass it back to you. She said, "You are doing your thing," and I was like, thank you. What made you say that? Because I mean, I could take that compliment, but I wanted to know really where was it coming from, and I'm
Uh-huh.
so glad I asked because it was a visibility thing. She was like, every time I log onto Facebook, I see a post from you. I see you going live in the Voice to Clients Lounge. I'm receiving all of your emails. This is a client that has already paid me, right? So
Mhm.
imagine the experience that a new person is having. She already knows me. I'm ingrained in her mind. But new people are also having it. She's like, oh, you just had a workshop and you got another one coming up. Like, so she sees she can't avoid me. So it's like I always try to say visibility is like a hug. Like you should be like surrounding them and everywhere they look, they're like, there goes Ciara again. Like, so I say, this is what I say, when you speak somewhere or you amplify your voice somewhere, you want to make sure you don't go from meet to delete. And visibility is what allows you to do that. So they can delete you in their memory if they haven't
Wow.
seen you for a while. But if
Wow.
you don't, if you choose to not go from meet to delete because you are implementing visibility strategies, they continue to remember you and ultimately buy and work with you.
So it's like a relationship in somewhat of a sense.
Absolutely.
You have to, in order to keep the relationship moving, to keep the relationship going, is that you have to continue to engage in conversation. So, and so once, like you said earlier, you build trust that way,
Yes.
right? It's just not trust in terms of the product, but trust in terms of knowing that you are available, right? And that you are consistent with getting the product out there to the consumer. And so I wanted to get a little I wanted the reason why I asked you that, and we're going to dive more into our topic, is
Mhm.
because I want people to understand how the topic actually connects with what you do as an entrepreneur, as a branding strategy. Am I saying it right? Brand strategy.
You're
Am I-
good.
yeah,
Brand strategist, brand visibility strategist,
yeah,
either or.
brand visibility strategy. Brand visibility strategy is floating on the screen at the bottom. So, but but yeah. So in saying all of this and understanding the difference between marketing and brand visibility, um, what do you believe? I mean, why do you believe it is important for an entrepreneur to be a persuasive messenger? Why do you believe that?
So I was thinking about this earlier and I was like, because I remember you and I, we had an offline conversation, and persuasiveness has such, especially in entrepreneur online space, it has such a bad connotation.
Mhm.
And so I got caught up into that, honestly. But I'm a words person. So, and then Jamil was like, no, but really look at the words. And so, you know, it also has some synonyms of like effectiveness. And that's a wonderful word. We want to make sure that we're effective, right? But when I really began to think more about it, because, persuasiveness and persuasive writing is in law with the attorneys and all of that. And I wanted to be an attorney at one point, another story for another day. But I began to think about the work that I do and the type of speakers that I brand and develop.
Mhm.
And I'm like, they are persuasive,
Right.
right? Because we speak to seize stages, to leverage our speaking so that we can absolutely get in front of prospective clients, fill our funnels. So at the end of the day, we're not speaking with fluff. We're coming with much value, expertise, specialty, and we want you to ultimately, eventually, get into our signature program so we can transform your life,
Right.
right? If it's transforming your business, ultimately that flows over to your life. And so there is an element of persuasiveness,
Mhm.
but it's not the persuasive, like the hands on intentional persuasiveness. It's just the message is strategically and systematically set up that it persuades you. And so, by definition, persuasiveness, off the top of my head, what I recall, was about causing for people to do a thing and believe, right?
Mm.
And so now they trust you. They believe that your business has what it needs to take it to the next level for it to get the outcome it desires. And so, because you did your thing, you dominated your speech, you did it, you did it, you did it. They heard you on an interview, a podcast, whatever it was. Now they decided to take action. You don't have to be persuasive or convincing. It's just the way you do what you do, how you shut things down, how you show up, that
Right.
they automatically take action. Of course, you have to have a call to action that tell them and ask them to do something. But it's ultimately just all of the value that you provided that makes them want to connect and take that next step. That in itself is a persuasive messenger. And I was like, I'm so here for it because I am. And so it's really about purifying our perspective around that word because it's got a bad rep.
Right. It does have there are a lot of words in the English definition that has negative connotations, like even the word judgment, but we're not going to go too far in that.
Okay.
People will be like, well, don't judge me. Well, judgment literally is making a decision between facts. When you go into the courtroom, the judge makes decisions based off of the facts that are presented, and we make decisions every day. And so, to be persuasive, um, I feel like it's an important element in being an entrepreneur, right? Let's take out the negative connotation. I'm glad you went and did your research.
I did my homework.
But it's being influential, right? um
Mhm.
like you said, causing a desired result. And so I can't imagine not having the ability to be able to communicate with clients what I'm trying to do, right? And how I'm trying to help them get to the desired result that they want from me. I remember when I did your course, Dominatrix Speaks, right?
Domination
And
speech, yeah.
yes, I remember when I went through the course and like I was like, I never even really thought about it in the way that you were teaching it, how it is important that when you get before people, you're delivering a message that's going to impact them, but it's also going to push them to want to purchase your product. And so now when people are thank God for the course. So now when people are encountering me, I know my message. I know why I do what I do. I know why it's important to communicate to the client like, look, this is what I'm here for and this is what I'm trying to do for you, you know? And so I think that is really really important. So
Thank you. I think so too. I think it's the missing piece for a lot of speakers. If I could come up with another P to put in front of Messenger, I would. I guess I got one. So I feel like a lot of speakers start out as personable speakers, right? I mean, personable messengers. They're just like, I just want to be friendly and nice and share my story. But when you become the persuasive messenger, you understand that you want a desired result and
right.
that your words have the power to influence them to actually do that thing. Telling your story might make people cry, it might be a tearjerker, people might be able to relate, but it doesn't necessarily. Stories can sell, but a part of something bigger. The story in
Right.
itself is just. Thank you for the ad. Baby boy is up. He's up. But telling the story in itself won't sell people into your signature program. So you want to make sure that your message is persuasive all by yourself.
Right.
So I definitely agree. People are missing that everywhere, all the time.
Because you can
Okay.
have an amazing product. You can do services great, like you can offer great services, but at the end of the day, you if you don't have the visibility or the marketing or the right message to draw the people, you're going to miss out on prospective clients.
Okay, that part, all of that. I love what you say. The message, the marketing, the visibility, all of those matter and play a part. They play a major role.
Now, I know that part of what you do, right, is helping
Mhm.
people create their message. Can you give us one pointer? Just one pointer. Hey, hey, y'all just don't know. He's a part of her message.
Okay. He's like, I just woke up from my nap.
Right.
One pointer for someone that wants to get their message together. Typically, when I get started, I always start with specialty. So the first part of my voice to clients method is specialty. So
Hmm.
before you even try to formulate a message, you want to know what are your top three speaker specialties? And
Wow.
so a lot of times we are very opinionated speakers. We have a lot of things that we can talk about. And when we begin speaking out of eagerness, haste, excitement, we just jump up and talk about a whole bunch of things, and that impacts our brand. And people can't keep up with what to know us for, right? So you want to think about your specialties, because then you're going to be consistent with those top three things, which then causes for people to familiarize themselves with your message. And ultimately, when you reach that specialist status, you then become a sought after speaker. It happens to me. People come looking for me to speak. I don't always have to look for speaking opportunities. I don't always have to apply. I don't always have to pitch, right? It's literally people are like, hey, I want you on this and that, because I have began to show up as a specialist. So that's the first thing that I would say. Don't just start talking about any and everything. Start talking about specific things that align with your specialty.
So, in other words, y'all, up and coming entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out how to garner more clientele, it is extremely important that you niche out your message, is what she's saying. Because if you niche it out, you'll understand. If you niche it out, you'll be able to. If you niche it out, you'll even understand more of your product than you understood before, because me being leverage accounting and my part of my message is what I've learned in her dominatrix course,
Domination
what
speech.
dominatrix speech, right, course, um, was that leverage is a huge part of my story. I mean, a part
Mm-hmm.
of my message and my niche with accounting. And so my goal is to help consumers or my clientele be able to leverage the information that is provided through the tax information or the accounting or the bookkeeping so that they can make profitable decisions. And so if you are if you have to get to a point where you're able to communicate your message, especially being visionaries, because we're visionaries and sometimes it's hard to communicate your vision, but it the vision starts off hard to communicate, but I think at a point you become at a point every entrepreneur should become, how can I say it? At a point every entrepreneur should become a specialist with their message, in terms
Yes.
of vision. Go ahead, I'm
Show up
sorry.
as the specialist of your message.
And so, Ciara, you deal with like an array of different type of clientels, uh,
Mm-hmm.
ministers, entrepreneurs, people who just want to be coaches, so you deal with so many different people who want to empower people who are authors and stuff of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what has been one of the biggest obstacles you have seen, um, that you have seen, what has been one of the biggest obstacles that you have seen your clientele's face?
That is such an awesome question. I would say this is what I would say. Last night or yesterday in my newsletter, I talked about the start and stop visibility cycle.
Mhm.
And that's what I call it, the start and stop visibility cycle. Because we'll start showing up and then we'll stop. We'll start and we'll stop. And then we'll get in our heads about starting again because we feel so ashamed that, they're gonna say, where was she at? Where she been at? Where'd
Right.
she go? Because you fell off the planet, you became MIA. And so, of course, there's more to it, but I was talking to them about the power of planning, right? And it
Mm.
really is that, like, the more prepared, the more prepped, the more planned you are, the more easier it is to remain visible. So it goes back to what we talked about earlier. A lot of people don't have marketing campaigns, strategic speaking campaigns, brand visibility uh, action plans. They don't have that in place. And so they got an idea, an inspiration of what they can do today, but or maybe even tomorrow or 3 days from now. But then after that, they get to a drought, and it's because they started without having a plan, and so now they've stopped, and that's what causes the cycle. And so I find that happening a lot. And so visibility, it has a lot to do with what I like to call message momentum. And so
Mm,
I ran track, and if you're into science, you understand momentum. But it's you gotta keep the momentum up when it comes to visibility, because when you start drawing like down, it's like the news. When the hype is over, no one's talking about it anymore.
that's true.
And so you want to remain on the top of people's minds and conversations, and so you want to keep that momentum. So the start and stop really hurts a lot of their brands, but it's an obstacle because they don't work. Uh, because I like sometimes they think they can DIY brand visibility. Oh, I know, I'm showing up, I got it. Okay, you got it until you don't, right? And so
Right.
you have to have the outside person like myself a part of your team.
No, I definitely see it as a benefit to have someone who can also someone who can keep you consistent, right? It's like almost like an accountability partner, right? And making sure that your messages is being heard.
Yes. Yep, because we created the plan. We want to see it executed and
Mhm.
implemented.
And
Plan
so
is not just for paper.
it's not for paper, it's for execution. I like that.
Okay, it's for
That
production.
that that for me is a t-shirt that I made.
Okay, go for it. You heard it here on Leverage TV.
On Leverage TV, I'll make sure you get some royalties for that.
It is all good. Just send me one in the mail. And
But
Kaden want one too.
I think, I was talking to Ebony, um, the publishing coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked her a question in the beginning, and her response was, I said, "Ready, set, go," and I asked her to, kind of release a phrase out. So she goes, "I wanna say go, but, you know, I'm about to say wait." But she said, "For the sake of the show, we're gonna say go." And I responded to her, and I'm like, "Look, let's take a step back. How about we say ready, set, wait, then go?"
Mm,
Because you have to be ready to go. But in order to make sure you're ready to go, you got to make sure that there's a plan in place. You got to niche it out, bad. You got to niche it out, right?
yeah.
And 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 then you'll be set to go. But you may have to wait a little because you may have to um I don't want to use I'm going to use it right now. Recalibrate. That's not the word that I want to say. You may have to recalibrate or revisit. There you go. Revisit the message to make sure you're hitting every point, every bit of points that are going to attract the clientele to you. And so when you're saying plan and planning is important, I definitely concur with you with that. And so um, would you give us some pointers on planning?
So this is what I'll say. You when you want to start, Kaden has pointers too.
He does have points.
He's like, I plan. So when you get to when you want to prepare to plan, you want to make sure you look at the bigger picture,
Mhm.
right? So going back to the example that I talked about earlier, when we talked about you having this offer at the start of the year. So the bigger picture is everything that I put together in my brand visibility plan and my marketing campaign should point back to that offer, right? So the bigger picture is that I want to enroll people into that signature program, which is that offer. If you don't have the big picture in mind, you just plan a bunch of pieces that don't
Right.
really connect, and there's not really a puzzle. So it's like, imagine finding three. I mean, people don't really play with puzzles anymore, but you get the visual.
I got the visual.
Imagine people have, there being three boxes of puzzles that were already open, and then somehow they fall on the floor. Then you pick them up and you're like, oh, I like this piece. This is a pretty piece. And I like this piece. This is a pretty piece. It looks like these two fit. So you try to squeeze them together, and they're from totally different boxes. That's what typically happens sometimes when we don't prepare to plan. We don't have the bigger picture in mind, but we have a bunch of pieces of a plan. Doesn't mean
Mm,
that that workshop wasn't good. Doesn't mean that that event wasn't good. Doesn't mean that that speaking engagement that you accepted wasn't good, but the theme didn't align with the campaign that you're currently running.
right.
So now you're talking about self care because they asked you to, but you're selling a program that talks about investing. I'm just saying, for example,
Right.
right? So now the people that you met at that event that were interested in self care, they're not necessarily interested in investing, and so you can't. They may, but they're not necessarily interested in that. And so you got to think about the overall picture. That's definitely that's crucial, because I didn't do that in the beginning either. I was guilty of just putting a bunch of pieces together and hoping that it worked and that they connected and would stick, and fit.
Right.
But it doesn't work that way.
No, that is very, very important because then you'll find yourself just putting information out there, but the information is not connecting, like you're saying. Like,
The message
and
is not connecting. They're like, I saw you, but I'm not interested.
right. Because it seems like it's all over the place at that point, right?
Yep,
You
you
know,
lost
and
them.
we lost them. And so, okay, let's see what else we have here. Let's talk about your book. So I feel like being a persuasive messenger, you have to convince yourself of the message first.
Mm.
I'm going to read this quote by
Oh,
Dr. Maya Angelou. I was going to post
oh.
it, but I'm going to read it. Um, she says, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Right? There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And so don't muzzle your message. Um, creates an opportunity for people who have so much inside of them to be able to release um, their message. And so let's talk about your book, um, and why you chose to write it.
I love it. So let me start with why I chose to write it. Uh, I was actually on my way to go to a business conference for women, and it was in Virginia, if my memory serves me well. And I remember being in the car with a couple of my female friends. I was volunteering for the event, so I was able to get in, you know, by working the event. In exchange, I was able to give free tickets to my friends. So, whoop whoop. It was the last year of this conference. It now no longer exists. And so I was like, I gotta make it. I've been missing it for the last couple of years. And just randomly, the title came to my mind. Don't muzzle your message. It's like I heard God speak it to me. And so a lot of people they name the book after, and sometimes that's easier
Hmm.
because you now know what the bigger picture. You now know what all of the pages are going to be filled with and what could sum up the book in one phrase or a sentence. But for me, it was the opposite. I had the title, nothing on the inside. And so I feel like God is telling me to write this title, and the title hit me hard. I loved Don't Muzzle Your Message. I love alliteration, so I just love the way it sounds. And I was like, wow, I gotta write this book. And instantly, the bigger picture came to my mind. I can't stress this enough because I honestly I do this. Is that I was already doing what is now called dominatrix speech, but I would give them Google Doc questions. And I said, I want to elevate this experience for my students. I feel like, the Google Doc serves its purpose. They get the questions, they get to answer them, we get to discuss them, and the breakthrough happens. But what if they had a book, a
Right.
required text? Because I just love my college experience, right? What if I had a required book for this particular training? And so that's when I began to call on friends. I got back acquainted with Ebony as well, who helped me to actually self publish that book. She did the formatting and things and uploaded it. Amazing job. And then my girl Takima helped me to structure it, who I just did the Brave Life experience with. I helped her to co-host it. And so I said, I have this book. I never really wrote a book. I kind of know what I want to talk about, but I have no idea. And so that's when Takima and I talked about it, and I decided that I was going to share a few of my muzzled moments, right? And so each chapter has a story of mine, story of my students that went through dominatrix speech, and how we became unmuzzled. Because a lot of people meet me now, the boldness, the audacity, the vocal and visible side of me, and they don't remember her, but I do. And so I had to remind them that not only do I relate, I've been there, because I
Right.
haven't caused myself to not remember. And so in essence, that's why I wrote the book, to be a better supplement for dominatrix speech, and not realizing that overall people needed the message in general, whether they were an entrepreneur, a speaker or not. It's just the fact that people have a lot locked inside, a
Hmm.
story that's untold. And it is an agony that sometimes they don't realize until someone tells them, like, they don't know they have a muzzle on their mouth or on their
Wow.
message until someone says, you need to take it off. And they're like, wait, I do. And so it's
Hmm.
been very freeing, liberating, transformational book all by itself. And I never saw I didn't know the vision that God had for it. And he even began to do the work in me. He told me I was still muzzled in many different
Wow.
areas. Yeah, even after putting the book out, he still was like, "You're still muzzled." So, it's a whole experience, and I'm still
Right.
living it out.
That's pretty interesting. Don't muzzle your message. And so, like, first of all, your whole journey of like arriving to it is that you just had the vision of it. It was just literally the words, but you didn't know practically all of the content that was going to go into this book. I mean, it was just the title, but you didn't know all of the content and everything that was getting ready to go into this book, and how it's going to literally liberate people to be able to communicate. Because I think Mama Terry says this to us. She says the greatest. Uh, he said I think she probably got it from Dr. Miles Monroe, but where there are the greatest place where there is a lot of lost potential. I'm going to paraphrase it. A lot of lost potential is the graveyard.
Mm.
And the reason why it's the graveyard is because so many people died in agony with ideas, with thoughts, with inventions, you know. But had they had someone like you to unmuzzle the message, right?
He said,
They would have
"That's
been
right."
able to. He said, "That's right." Hey, Kaden. They would have been able to be able to execute, right? As we were talking earlier. And so I think that I read the book. The book is phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. And our purpose for this show today was to let up and coming entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and people who are currently entrepreneurs but don't really have any direction right now, just need a little bit more imps. There's some missing parts of your business that you wanted to that you want to learn more about, and connecting with people who can help you get your message out, to help you unmuzzle it, so that you can garner the not only profitability, but you can gain freedom for yourself. Right.
Yes,
It's important. And
very.
so yeah, I guess we're coming to a close. CC, is there um before we go in oh, wait. I have a game. Normally I do the games in the beginning of the show, but
We're gonna play a game.
I know Ciara, because then she probably would have knew like all of the questions that was coming up after. She's just that intellectual. But okay, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna close out with a game,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna ask you to give your hashtags, or how people can reach you, and then you
Hmm.
can also leave a message for the entrepreneurs. So, all right. So we're gonna play the game.
Okay.
Actually, we're gonna play the game. You're gonna leave off with a message, and then you're gonna end it with your hashtags.
All right.
All right. Three things. All right. So first, let's do this. Can you see that image?
Yes.
Can you see that image? All right. She's an impromptu individual. So Ciara,
Is that a king?
that right there is a chess piece.
Yeah. Is that the
It's
king or the queen?
that
I'm not sure. Is that the king?
I believe that's the king. Hold on. Let me Google it.
I think it's the king, but I'm not quite sure. Chess was not my board game, but I like it. Okay.
That is the king.
Okay. Whew.
Okay. So Ciara,
Yes.
can you give us an example of a persuasive message
Mm.
off of these images?
Yes. So a lot of people don't they don't realize how I got into speaking. That it literally I was strategically sent out by the king because Sierra had a muzzled message. She was shy in all of her communication classes, public speaking classes. She didn't feel like she had a voice, but she always used her voice, always when she was a child, to stand up and defend others when they were bullying, whether it was her or someone just nearby. So she thought that she was going to go down the path and go on the journey to law school, to defend, to be a defense attorney, and to do what was right until she got a little bit more knowledgeable about the career path. And so she ended up going on what she calls her purpose discovery journey, which is what you see in the middle. Okay. It had its hills, it had its ups, its downs, it had some greenery along the process because there were some things she enjoyed. It wasn't all bad, it wasn't all rainy, it wasn't all dirt roads, right? And then she got to the last picture that you see where she's actually coaching, and she's bright yellow and in full of happiness and fulfillment and getting her clients results with what she does. And so she wrote the book, Don't Muzzle Your Message. And with that, that was the required text. for her course. Don't muzzle, dominate your speech. Which who is actually there is Lisa. Shout out to her. She went through dominate your speech, and so there's so many speakers now because of her path, because of her journey, that are no longer muzzling their message, dominating their speech, leveraging speaking engagement so they can fill their funnels and get in front of their ideal audience so they can get prospective clients enrolled into their signature programs. All because this one shy and sometimes quiet, believe it or not, extroverted, perky, light skinned, premature, bullied when she was younger, speaker, woman, boss mom, decided to go on the journey first. And so, like Harriet Tubman, she could not leave everybody behind her after she set herself free. She had to go back and show them how it's done. And so that's exactly what she does. That's Ciara Shanae, y'all. Ciara Shanae in short, but it was the king. It was God. I never would have thought in a million years that I would be doing and loving and actually liking what I do now. Jamil Cooper of Leverage.
I love it.
I was like, I
I
feel like that's
love
the
it.
king. And it's so funny because it immediately made me think of God, the king of all kings, you
Of
know?
all things. I love it. So, Cece, I'm gonna drop down one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask that you. I feel like you gave a motivational speech for the entrepreneur, so you probably can skip that. But if
Okay.
you want to talk about how everybody can get in contact with you, how they can reach you, what do you have? What are you currently working on? Um, any special projects, where they can connect with you at, all that good stuff. It's all yours.
Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Pull it in, Sierra. I like it. I really would love for all of you guys to connect with me at iamciarashanae.com. I am Ciara Shanae pretty much everywhere except LinkedIn. But you can still type in Ciara Shanae. You should be able to find me there. I'm trying to give it some love in the LinkedIn space. But definitely connect with me. The last thing I want to leave with you is that you the decision is yours. You get to decide if you're going to be the muzzle or the magnet. I so hope and truly pray that you decide to be the client magnet rather than be muzzled. And Kaden says, "Hi everybody. I'm here."
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to thank you once again, Ciara Shanae, for taking the opportunity to accept this offer to come on and I guess fellowship, hang out, interview,
Yes.
being able to take on this challenge of a persuasive messenger, so that young entrepreneurs, even older entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs on their way to success, right? We want to cover everybody. We just want everybody to understand that there are some characteristics that you need as an entrepreneur in order to progress and in order to succeed. And so, as our going out, what we're going to do is do our peace sign, and we're going to close this. And I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Again, thank you for joining Leverage TV. We're making business relative is our objective. Deuces. Sure to check out our latest content by subscribing to Leverage TV. Make sure you like, share, and comment.